Good evening, everybody. Keith Schweigert, Jeff Reinhardt here from LankSports.com, wrapping up Week 9 of the Lancaster-Lebanon League high school football season. And Jeff, all 3 section championships have been decided. The 3 section leaders all clinched tonight, all wrapped up outright section titles. Let's start with your game. Let's start with your section.
Sure.
Section 1, Wilson wraps up Section 1 crown with a 44-0 win over Penn Manor. What can you tell us about that?
Convincingly. What else can we say about Wilson's defense at this point? I think this is the 3rd week in a row they've held a team to under 100 yards. They roll Penn Manor 44-0. Rodney Gillen 3 more touchdown runs. Penn Manor 52 yards and 4 first downs.
Ouch.
Wow. 3 Section 1 titles in a row for Wilson. 19 overall. That's second most in the LL. Central has 20 in Section 2. Wilson will go for its 3rd straight 7-0 run through Section 1 next week against Warwick. Bulldogs wrap it up. They win outright.
Another very impressive season for the Bulldogs. Of course, they're gunning for that top seed in the district bracket, another section title, and it just seems like every year you can pencil them in at the top, and more often than not, you're going to be right.
Pretty much. And Zach Zwizik apparently threw a bunch of passes tonight to kind of round him back into passing shape, and he was very good, completed a good percentage, had a touchdown pass. So see if Wilson can go 7-0 and 10-0 next week against Warwick.
Well, let's talk about the other emerging story coming out of Section 1, the game you were at tonight.
Yes.
McCaskey knocks off Manheim Township,
Yes.
and all of a sudden, you know, they've been kind of quiet all year, but the Red Tornado, next week they'll be gunning for a 7-3 record if they can get that last win.
How about that? Amazing game. I'll try to capsulize the last 2 minutes here if I can. Township winning 14-10, going in for the game icing score. They have 4th and goal at the 2. Raycall Martinez gets tripped up and slips. McCaskey takes over at the 2. They're driving, throw a pick. So it looks like Township has it all wrapped up. They just got to run the clock out. Fumble. McCaskey recovers at its own 40, goes down the field. Jonathan Julio to Joe Anderson with 39 seconds to go, 29-yard touchdown pass. McCaskey pulls it out 17-14. Trailed the whole night, did some goofy things. Township shot itself in the foot a ton. As mentioned, we talked about this week, Township was only third from last in the league in penalties with 32. They had 12 penalties for, 115 yards tonight. That really hurt them. They had a roughing the passer call against Julio that kept a drive alive. A pass interference call that kept a drive alive. McCaskey was good. They hung in there. They didn't panic, and Julio led them down the field, and they scored. So McCaskey goes to 6-3. They got to be safe for districts. Yep. Township 4-5. They're going to need a win against Hempfield and probably some help.
Yeah, from what we can tell, and we're certainly no experts at looking at the power rankings, but it looks like obviously Wilson's safe, McCaskey's safe.
Looks like it.
Probably Warwick, they won again tonight, so they look like they're safe. And Township, like you said, 5-5 will get you in, assuming everything else breaks right with the other teams out there in the field. But it's if they can get a win next week against Hempfield, likely still in.
Yeah, could. I hate to put a stamp on anything, but
right.
Let's play the games out and see what happens.
Sure.
Elsewhere in Section 1, another big night for Darren Thompson. Unofficially, 218 rushing yards, 3 touchdowns. Warwick beats Hempfield 28-0. Unofficially, Thompson will need 58 yards next week against Wilson for 2,000 in the regular season.
Yeah, good luck with that.
Good luck with that. And Cedar Crest, break them up. Falcons are in the win column. They beat Ephrata 28-13. Garrett Levengood
28-23 wasn't it?
28-23. I'm sorry, 28-23. Crest over Ephrata. Garrett Levengood 2 touchdown passes and a run. Ton of offense in this game. Crest 343 yards. Ephrata 336 yards. Not a lot of D in that game. Wow.
Okay, well, let's quickly move through Section 2 here. Of course, Lampeter Strasburg wraps up the section title. They beat Elizabethtown 28-6.
Yep.
I think the biggest game of the night in terms of intrigue has got to be that Cocalico-Conestoga Valley game, though.
Wow.
Eagles win that one 41-35 in double overtime. What can you tell us?
Apparently, from our guy who was at the game, Cocalico lined up for a field goal to win it. It was blocked. The kid scooped it up and then threw the go-ahead touchdown pass in double overtime. So a couple of things in this game. Cocalico stays alive. If they get to 5-5 next week, they have a shot in AAA, and they knock CV out. So LS wins the crown outright. They hold E-Town to 144 yards. LS wins 28-6. They wrap up the Section 2 title in their first year up. That's impressive.
Congratulations,
Seriously.
Pioneers. Great win.
That's really impressive. One last note on the Calico game. Austin Hartman comes back from the ankle injury. Needed 4 yards for the school rushing record. Got it on his first carry and a 23-yard run. Unofficially, he went for 165, so he snaps Tab Musser's record. Manheim Central beats Lebanon 42-7. Chase Moyer, a couple touchdown runs and a 60-yard touchdown pass. 2 touchdown runs for Michael Smith. 3 wins in a row for the Barons.
Absolutely, they are a dangerous team going into the playoffs.
Yeah, look out for them. And sort of a mild upset here. Solanco 20, Garden Spot 17. Ralph Brown to Tyler Stitz, 23-yard touchdown pass in the fourth quarter wins it for Solanco. They're still alive here. They need to win to get to 5-5, and now Garden Spot drops back. I don't know if they'll go. They're probably going to need a win, and they play the Barons in Week 10.
Yeah. They needed to get one win in their last 2 games to have any shot at it, really. And you would think that this was the game that they were going to win if they were going to win one.
Probably.
It's hard to see them knocking off Manheim next week.
That'll be trouble, yeah.
So let's move on to Section 3, where Lancaster Catholic wrapped up the Section 3 crown. I was at this game tonight, and it was a Roman holiday, let's call it.
Ooh.
Roman Clay, the sophomore running back, this is just an incredible stat line. He had 255 yards and 4 touchdowns on 6 carries, folks.
Wow.
6 carries, just over about, maybe let's call it 15 minutes of actual game time.
Wow.
Because Clay and most of the starters were sitting on the sidelines with about 8 minutes to go in the second quarter.
Ouch.
Clay he went ballistic. He scored the first time he touched the ball, and 2 of his first 3 touchdown runs. I don't even think he had to break a tackle. On the one where he was touched, he broke 1 tackle and took off. Then he adds another one midway or early in the second quarter. It was a 34-yard run in which he broke, I'm going to say, about 6 tackles through the secondary. He was just unstoppable. John Rhoda had a good night. He had 2 touchdown passes. I think he went something like 5 of 6.
5 for 6, 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, just an all-around spectacular night for Catholic. They were up 408-37 in total yards at halftime.
Wow.
So the second string and the JV pretty much played out the string from there for Catholic. The intrigue was over in this one pretty quick.
What did we say this week?
Yeah, they're in playoff mode,
pretty
folks.
much.
And
Pretty much.
of course they pull away 55-7 again, that final score.
Yikes.
Just an incredible performance.
Yikes.
So let's look at the other games in Section 3.
Sure. Columbia 48, Pequay Valley 13. Crimson Tide piles up 402 yards of offense.
They're a playoff team.
Yeah, they're in. Columbia's in. They get in with 3 wins. We'll have to see how that single A bracket plays out with just the 5 teams. Elko 14, Donegal 13. Blocked extra point by Elko, wins it late. And in the lone non-leaguer, how's this one? Palmyra 48, Northern Lebanon 47. Northern Lebanon led this game 41-13.
Blew it.
Blew that.
That gotta hurt.
That stings.
And just one more note on Elko before we move on and wrap this up. We had pretty much left the Raiders for dead, a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
This is 3 wins in a row for them now, and just a great job by Coach Mark Evans of keeping them together.
Definitely.
Keeping them involved and keeping them into it. So, they're going to finish with 3, maybe 4 wins this year. But
Catholic in Week 10.
Yeah. Okay, 3 wins. But you know what? Just a heck of an effort for them to just sort of stabilize things here late in the year.
Definitely for that, and tip of the cap to Cedar Crest for finally getting in the W column here. No winless teams in the LL this year. That's
Absolutely.
a good thing.
There you
That's
go.
a good thing.
So there you have it. That's Week 9
Yes,
of
sir.
the Lancaster Lebanon League season. Be sure to keep checking LankSports.com leading up to Week 10 for all our playoff implication games next week, as the sections are all decided. But there are still plenty of playoff spots on the line, plenty of intrigue left in Week 10. Thanks for visiting the site, and have a great weekend, everybody. Good night.